while, but I'm back. I'm super excited to be recording today, and I hope you all are in for a funny, good ride with this episode. And so it's how to be single, and I have my friend Alexis here with me, so she's going to record, and she's the perfect person. The universe just gives me the right people at the right time to record these episodes, so I'm very happy, and it's going to be like a mixture, just people who are single that can relate, although there's very little single people out there, I feel like. So we'll get into that. But yeah, so just go ahead and say hi.
Hi, do you want like my background?
Yeah, give a little intro about yourself.
So I'm very qualified to talk about being single because I am a pro single person. I have been single for like my whole adult life. There are benefits and there are negative things, which I'm sure we'll get into, but I am just so thankful to Adrianna for having me, and I'm super excited to get rolling.
Yes, thank you for coming on. Very, very excited. And so that was the best intro anyone's ever done because a lot of times they get nervous and so they just don't know what to say, but that's okay. I would be too. Like anytime I have to give an intro for anything, I'm just like, why? I don't want to. But all right, so yeah, being single. We've all been single at some point in our lives, even if it was back to when we were like a child. But when you're single as an adult, depending what age and your life circumstances, sometimes it's just flat out hard. You know what I mean? And I think that there's been media and books and movies and things about being single. It's not like it's not talked about, but like we're gonna get really like deep in there about things that probably people don't usually share about being single. And so this space, like I'm always very like vulnerable and open because I just find why do this if like that's not the route that I'm going to take with this. People don't want to listen to someone faking it and not being authentic. So again, my misery or things that happen in my life can be your entertainment. So we're just going to get right to it.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, let's go back to you because you mentioned you've kind of been single your whole life, and so like elaborate on that and kind of what your experience has been.
So like I would say like when I was younger, being single was more fun, easier. Like there was not a stigma around it. Like no one bothered me. I was like okay to be single and just vibe, and it wasn't frowned upon. It wasn't questioned. And I feel like the older that I get, the more that everyone is worried about it. And like, I start to worry about it because it's like, I don't want to be that old maid with no kids by myself. Like, I would at some point want someone. But like, I also feel like I am blessed for my single time because I do feel like there are people that have been stuck in relationships for so long and they don't know themselves. Like, being single is how you can learn like the type of person you are, what you like, what you don't like, what you want to do. Once you're in a relationship, all your decisions are pretty much together. Like I feel like you almost meld into that and then you're not your own person anymore. So like I said, there's like benefits to it, but I feel like this long of a period is not for me. But as far as like when I was like in my early 20s, like earlier 20s, because I'm 27, just so everyone knows. But when I was like 21, 22, like best time of my life to be single.
Yeah, no, I agree. The college years really are a lot more, what's the word I'm looking for? Just ideal to be single, right? Because you have no responsibility. That college is known for hooking up. Everyone jokes about it. So
I got mono my freshman year. I got mono and was out for like 3 months. And they say like, oh, it's not always kissing. It was definitely kissing, like a lot of it. So
right.
So
yeah, like high school and college. If you were single, you didn't really miss out on much, honestly. Like
right.
Those are like prime times.
Right.
Now, as we get older, I think once you hit 25, something in people's brains change, whether you're in a relationship or not. That's like, oh my God, I have to scramble and get married. Like, why am I single? Like, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, but why is it that way? Like, I don't understand why.
I feel like it's our parents and like because they got married earlier than us. So I feel like that's like, they ask us about it all the time because that's like when they were getting married. So like my grandma was 25 when she got married, and like that was considered older.
Yeah.
Like for her, like so I just feel like maybe it's like pressures more from the generation before us and not so much like us pressuring each other. Like I feel more pressured by my family. Every person my own age that I tell like I'm single, they're like, that's awesome. Sounds fun. Like
Right. I mean,
meanwhile my grandma's like, are you gonna get married? Have some kids?
Right.
Like
classic
no,
grandma, mom. Like, yeah, no, you're definitely not the only one that goes through that. And that probably is where more of the pressure comes from, and not even society as a whole. It's just like our own family and older generations, because obviously, like you said, that was the thing. Like, they got married so much younger. Everybody was married and had children by 30. But even like our own generation, like, if you take out society, family, like, I feel like people in relationships, regardless of how long they've been in a relationship, it can only be a year, all of a sudden feel the need that they want to get married. And it's like, but are you doing it because you feel like you have to? You have to prove something? Do you not have anything better going on in your life? Like, is it just, again, like that underlying, this is like the path I'm supposed to follow in life, like I should be married, like, I don't know, like I'm just wondering.
Yeah, you feel like it more follows just like what society typically does, and like no one is thinking about like the partner itself and like can you see a life with that person? Because like that's why divorce I feel like is so high, because people don't think about it like that. They think about what that partner can do for them in their life and how they can make them look, but it's like it's more than that, and it's not even just about love and feelings. It's about being able to stick together through challenges. Like, so I feel like people rush into it just to get that gratification, but like then they end up not getting it because that's not what you needed.
Exactly. The gratification from who? Like, are you proving something to yourself, to your family and friends and society that, like, oh, I'm married, I did what I was supposed to do, like, I found someone? Like, what fulfillment does that really get? Like, I'm just trying to understand the level that people operate from in terms of why they really choose to get married. And obviously, and that's the other thing. I feel like, why were we given this like picture of, oh, we're supposed to, like, we're told this story essentially that we're supposed to find our soulmate and there's this person out there and we're gonna live happily ever after and get married with them. Like, why is that what is in the back of our minds? Why has that been sold to us as a reality when actually marriage used to be like a form of currency, or like it was used for other purposes, like for families to come together, for materials, for children, for oh my god, I can't talk, for wives to bear children. Like, there were so many other factors. Like, when did it become about finding love or like trying to find your other half? And is that really even possible in today's day and age?
Well, I think Disney and like those types of movies played a big part in like us growing up idolizing
Yeah.
Idolizing that. So, like, I know that for sure. Like, because I still watch rom-coms and I think to myself, like, why can't I find that? Because it's not fucking real. Like, so, can I curse?
No, but, oh yeah, absolutely. I swear,
Okay.
I swear I'm here all the time. I am actually guilty of that too, because I have this expectation in my head that, again, why? Like, where does it come from? Is it internal? Is it because I'm influenced in ways I don't know from like rom-coms and Disney movies? Because truly, like, if it were my way, I would want it to be like that. Like, I do want to find
a cute me.
Who doesn't want to like find their true love and soulmate? Like, you know what I mean? But why do we feel that that's actually a reality when so many people are getting divorced?
I can at least speak for myself. I did actually get to see like a successful, healthy, good marriage. Not so much my parents, but in my mom's mom, her and my grandpa had an amazing relationship. When he passed, she never wanted to remarry. She just like had no desire to be with someone else other than him. So she threw herself into her family and she got fulfillment in that way. It wasn't like she was depressed her whole rest of her life, but like just the idea that like she didn't want to go on with, like she didn't want to like go on in her love life without him because he was the one that she wanted. So like I have seen it be successful, so like I know that it can be, so I think it makes me crave it even more, because it's like, to me, it's not just the movies, it's also a real possibility. Just because it's not going to happen in the exact same way as it does in the movies doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I just think it's like a lot harder to find nowadays. Like, it's definitely shifted, and the mindset is less about getting into relationships, I feel like, for like single men our age. So when back in the day that was like your goal. That was the entire goal, was to find someone, get married, and have kids. Like, so I don't know. I would like for us to get closer to back to that point, if I'm being honest.
I guess if we do see successful relationships around us, like some people's parents are still married, some people genuinely are still happy being married, or they make it work, you know what I mean? So that is a good point. Like, my parents divorced when I was super young, so like, I guess maybe, I don't know if that affects my viewpoint on marriage, where like a lot of my friends, their parents are still married. And I literally asked them one time, I said, do you think it's possible for two people to actually like want to stay together forever and make it work? Like, how would you not get sick of that person? How would you not look at other people or wonder, am I missing out? Like, I just, for me, and again, this is like, I think where my analytical, like, overthinking comes into play, but truly, I wonder, is this a normal human response to, like, want this? Is it truly possible in the world we live in?
I mean, like, I even think that it's possible in like even friendships. There are friends that like I would literally be cool to see every day because I just enjoy their company. So like, I don't think it's so much of like the person as it is like how they're making you like feel for like people that are jumping into relationships. But like, I feel like if you focus on falling in love with that person and falling in love with like the qualities that you admire, like that I feel like is a deeper bond, a deeper connection because it's not about you, it's about them. And I feel like that can make things last if you truly are focused on them and not what they can bring you. I also feel like nowadays it's just going to be a lot harder to find because that is the mentality. That is the thinking, is that I can get someone new. I can get someone better. There's always something better. There's always something new. You're swiping on apps and social media, like it's crazy. You can get a new girl in 2 seconds if you wanted one. You can get a new guy in 2 seconds if you wanted one just for a fling. But like if you want something truly real, you have to put in the work.
Yeah, there's too many distractions out there with like these stupid apps and social media. So it's like, yeah, if you really wanted to go out for convenience and find someone else or be distracted and be shitty in your relationship, you can do that. But it's like quality over quantity. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, if you want that true soulmate forever love, you have to be patient, you have to work on yourself, and you have to put work into the relationship. Like, I feel like people think it's so easy. Like, they're just like, oh, I'm in a relationship. This means that, like, I must be with this person and we must get married. And it's just like, half those relationships, those people shouldn't even be together, or the marriage doesn't work out.
I truly think a lot of the failure in relationships comes from the selfish, like the selfish thinking. So
It's people are always operating from a place of they think that the other person is supposed to fulfill them and make them happy. That already has to come from you. Once
right.
two people do that, that leads to the most everlasting, stable relationships. And I just don't think people understand that. There's way too much codependency out there, and I was in that type of relationship for 5 years. I didn't realize how codependent I was, and we naturally become that way sometimes, but I see way too much of it out there. And that's a huge reason why relationships don't work. And if people could understand, if you took time to be single or didn't just settle with whoever and you were truly fulfilled in yourself and knew who you were, at that point you will attract the best relationship.
And I think that's like kind of why I'm still single, because like I still feel like even though it's been for like what seems like ever, I'm still finding myself.
Right.
Like I feel like you can't find yourself when you're like in trauma or you're like too in your head about it. Like I had to get to a point where I was ready to take that step to like heal. So like it's not like I've been working on it since 20 and it's taken me 7 years to like finally start to get to that point. Like it takes a long time for you to like even realize that you have that disconnect sometimes. So I think like really people should focus a little bit more on themselves. But also when in a relationship, you have to be sure that it's not just about you. So that's like a hard concept to think about because you have to do both.
Yeah.
Like you have to be versatile in that way.
Well, even when you are in a relationship, and I've said this before on here, I'm pretty sure, like, you have to have your own friends. You have to like have guy night and girl nights and still have hobbies and like be fulfilled in your career or just do things for you. Like you cannot be so wrapped up in your partner because one, it's not healthy, and then at that point it leads to resentment or you feel like someone's up your ass and like you're just not living your like I don't know. It kind of is a recipe for disaster in my opinion.
Right.
Especially when you throw kids in the mix, like
people rush to have kids a little bit faster than I feel like they should.
Agreed.
Like, let's not get married and have a kid. Like, I really feel like you should take time to be with your spouse. And I feel like a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people want to jump. And, like, it's everyone's choice and everything like that. Like, but I feel like you end up hurting your marriage a little bit in that way because then you guys pull all your focus to the kids and, like, you don't really get that time to be married. Like, when I get married, I want to travel for a little bit. I want to have some time and just to even like see if like it's gonna work because living with someone and being married to someone is a different ball game than dating or barely in a relationship. Like everything is tied to that person at that point. Like you want to make sure you made a good decision before you bring a kid into it. Like. Because then the kid is affected if something happens, and that's not fair.
Yeah, and that's my worst nightmare. Like, I refuse to, like, I personally am not someone who'd want to date someone with children. Like, that's just, a stipulation for me at this point. And I know as you get older, you do have to, like, change your mindset, but also, like, that just terrifies me to bring children into the world and, like, really hope that like this marriage is sustainable so that as a child of divorce like that's just not something, and nobody ever wants that, nobody plans for that, but like it just I don't know, like you said, people really rush into it and like don't think about the consequences
because I don't think people like really put as much I don't think people really understand the responsibility of having a child anymore.
Yeah,
like I think it's almost just like a step that they can take or a check that they can check off the list of having a child.
You do because
but like a child is a human being and they require a lot of patience, a lot of, a lot of care. So I just feel like people do it because it's the natural thing to do and don't do it necessarily because they want kids. Like I can speak to my mom, love her to death. I know she loves me, but I genuinely don't feel like she really wanted kids because now that we're like all old enough, she's like, leave me alone. Like I don't want to be around like anyone. I don't want to have that interaction. So it's like, I think that then like it makes me feel bad and that's not her intention, but like that's what happens. Like, if you resent your kids, it's not just going to go over their heads. Like, kids are more aware and resilient than people think. So you have to be very, like, they'll sense your, like, almost indifference to them.
Exactly,
so,
yeah. People just don't understand, like, how hard it is. Like, I feel like I just have so much better insight and more perspective than a lot of people I know with, like, marriage and children. One, going through a divorced family twice, having my significant other die and how tumultuous that relationship was on top of nannying. So, like, don't sit here and tell me, like, I'm not a cynical asshole, but I'm very realistic, and I have had different experiences that have made me, which I'm glad, because I could have been somebody that rushed into marriage and having kids if I didn't know the other side and the reality of truly, like, what you go through. Because when you have kids, it's not like you're still your own person at the end of the day, like when you have children. So like if you never got to like experience things for yourself or be fulfilled and you looked for a marriage and children to only fulfill you, like even if that's your end goal, if that's all you care is to be like a homemaker, and like it doesn't mean that you're gonna end up happy.
Right. No, that's true. Because I think you know what you want, but you don't actually know until you're, like, living it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think everyone has, like, a goal to aspire to, but then once they're actually doing it, that's when you see if it was truly, like, meant for you.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like there's too many people around me that, and it's really frustrating to have, like, such a different mindset than other people because I feel like nobody understands me and I feel crazy, and it's just entirely frustrating because it just makes me feel like I'm always doing something wrong, or like I'm almost just incapable of relationships. Like that area, like I feel like every other area of my life is like going so well. Like I have control over it, over that. Like that is the one that I just cannot get it together. And I have bad luck in, to be honest. Like if we're being honest, like straight up.
I feel like I know it's easy to feel alone, but like I can relate to everything you're saying, so I feel like other single girls are just not as like surrounded, I guess, maybe by other single girls. I mean, I think we need to like make a group, man.
No,
we need
we
to
do.
have a travel group.
And this is no offense to like the friends that I have, because I've said before, most of them are in relationships. That's great. I'm so happy for you. It's just not like I'm at a completely different stage, and it's hard to relate. And like,
Right.
thank God I have you. But like, still on the day to day, it's like it's just frustrating.
No, I totally understand, but I think like it's not to say anything against your taken friends or anything like that, but like same thing for me. It's like I want to go out and like kind of meet guys, go on the prowl, you know, have a good time, drink, dance, and like what they want to do is hang out with their significant other, dance with their significant other, drink with their significant other, and
do every
like,
goddamn thing with their
significant
significant
other.
other.
Like, I mean, like super happy for you guys. I'm glad you're happy, but like now I'm kind of bored. So
like you're actually useless to me. Like listen, I'm gonna call a spade a spade. My friends can listen to this. They will know at the end of the day I completely 100% support and am happy for your relationship, but also fuck you. I'm gonna live a different life. You're not good to me right now unless you want to go out and get drinks and have fun with me. Like
yes.
I can't. I just cannot. It literally drives me in fucking sane to be surrounded by couples. Like,
yes.
And it's not me being like jaded or like again, the cynical asshole. That's just what I'm gonna call myself on this episode.
Fair.
Like, how could anyone like sit here and tell me like if you're single, who you're gonna have more fun with? Other single people you can go out with, or boring couples in relationships?
Right,
like,
because
you know what I mean?
like it's not saying I'm bitter, but like that's still something
yeah,
that
that's
I desire.
word I was looking for,
so it's like, why would I put myself in that situation to sit there and be almost a little envious the whole night? Like that seems just like really detrimental to myself and even to them in our friendship. Because I don't want to resent or be envious of my friend. So like it just makes more sense to go out with people that are like in the same spot as you in life. So
I'm not like necessarily envious. Like I'm enjoying my time alone right now. Like I'm doing so much, but yeah, I do have days where I'm lonely and like I wonder, is this gonna last forever? Like will I ever actually like meet someone or be in a relationship? So there's all sorts. That's the thing. Like there's all sorts of feelings when you're single. Like it depends on the day. Like some days I'm like, oh my god, I'm so happy that I get to like wake up in my own place. I don't have to deal with anyone. I can literally do what I want when I want and have fun. And then other days I'm like, yeah, this sucks. Like I am lonely. Like I wonder what it would be like to be in a relationship again, you know? So it just really depends on the day, but like overall it's just really annoying to be surrounded by, like my life could be a reality show because I have so
last
many
woman
friends,
standing.
and 9 out of 10 of them are in a motherfucking relationship, and I'm just like, I don't understand. Like, why is this happening to me?
Well, you need to go out and make more single friends.
I do. That's my plan. It's life update for everyone, by the way. So I'm officially living downtown. I'm very excited. I kind of mentioned that was happening or in the works on the episode back in January. And so finally did it. I have a studio downtown with my cat. I absolutely love it. It all worked out. My building's great. Highly recommend it. Although I'm not going to say where I live for safety reasons. But yeah, it's just like it really all truly worked out. I have a great new job. My office is downtown. And again, like this is why I say synchronicity is real, because they have built-in work from home stations that I get to work out of every day. Plus, these little rooms also is like a private studio for my podcasting. So I just really feel like I am meant to be here. It all aligned, and I'm super happy. So
I also want to let you guys know at her building there is a gym. and a bunch of handsome men like to work out between the hours of 5 and 6
on Fridays.
So she's out here talking about single, but who knows how long with all these attractive men around here.
Wait, let's change gears because we're getting pretty like cynical and deep there for a second. No, but something really funny actually happened because I'm like in and out of my building all the time throughout the week, just like working from home in these little spaces. I take the elevator and go up to my apartment on lunch breaks, and typically like I don't see a lot of like cute guys milling around. Today was a different story. Like Alexis must be a good luck charm, or like the energy of like two single gals is in the air, because I was carrying my podcast equipment, like I'm trying to open the door to the room, and this guy was walking back from the gym and just swoops in.
Buff, nice arms.
Yes, like just swoops in and was like, "Oh, I got that. Your hands are full." And I was like, "Oh my God, thank you so much." And I was like, Alexis, this literally never happens. Like this was a once in a lifetime. So then we couldn't use that room because there was people next door that were talking extremely loud. So like we have to go upstairs into another conference room. So we get in the elevator. Lo and behold, another attractive man in a suit walks in, and I'm like, oh my God.
At this point, I'm thinking, she a whole liar. She is lying to me because I've seen 3 already. So
like, what do you mean you have trouble finding a guy? You could just stand in your lobby and they're
literally
right there.
I'm like, put on some heels and a dress and just chill here with your little briefcase. Have a little coffee. You'll have 7 dates by the end of the day.
Oh, I wish. But no, it was funny because they just all happened to be like out and about between 5 and 6 o'clock on a Friday. So I'm like, I guess I know where I have to mill around the building. So yeah, that was super funny.
I feel like we should do a series of like questions for men. I like feel like I am very disconnected to like what men actually want or are interested in. Like, because I feel like you hear so many different things from so many people. Like, you get so many opinions from like when I say like, oh, I'm single, like, oh, I'm kind of looking, kind of thinking like, oh, you should do this or you should do that. Oh, guys like when you do this, guys like that. But like, I want to hear from a guy like, what's true? Like, what do you actually like and not like?
I've given up on trying to figure it out. At some point, I would like a male to come on my podcast, but 1, I don't have any guy friends, and 2, I just haven't found the right person. So at some point, I would like to get in there and get into a male's brain to really figure out, like, okay, what goes on.
Right.
And it is weird because you do hear different things from different people. I feel like, I don't know, it's just really confusing because I'm at a point where, I don't know, like you feel sometimes you have to play hard to get, other times people are like, just be direct, be authentic, be honest, like don't like give into that. But it's
Which
like,
one?
No, it's like, okay, I have to show interest, but like not too much. But then, like, how do people actually get into relationships these days? Because
it's
I'm
like,
confused.
Be aloof, but be direct. Make sure he knows that you like him, but not too much. Like, oh,
yeah,
just a lot of instructions. Slow down.
Well, and you know what I will say, so I'm not on TikTok still, but I'm on Instagram Reels, which is like pretty much the same thing. And so it's like kind of alarming the amount of like TikToks out there about men being trash. Like that's all I see, and it's not like I seek those out. Like they just, it's like the red flags, or like this is dating now, or oh, he did this when a guy does this, and it's just like,
I think it's definitely the dating apps. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's definitely dating apps.
I'm like, this is concerning me.
Because but behind a screen, like, you can be more, you know, like, you can be more mysterious, more kind of shady almost. And I feel like that gives people, like, they can literally go on their app and be talking to 7 different girls at the same time, and, like, no one would be any wiser because it's through the app, you know what I mean? So, like, I feel like it makes it easier, and since it's easier, it's happening, you know what I mean? So
the apps are problematic, and I talked about this before, kind of like last year, actually this time. So this is, again, synchronicity. I didn't even realize the fact that here I am talking about being single and kind of dating a year later, and I don't know, not much has changed. I've also very, very much so been a hermit in a way, so why
That's me too. Sometimes I'll literally hole up and then be like, why am I single? Like, well, probably because I didn't go out for the last month and a half.
Right.
So like that'll probably do it for you. Not that I've like changed in like 2 days. I'm out here a hot mess and I'm sitting here like, oh yeah, I can get a man. Like, oh my. But I actually feel like the dating apps can also be like quite entertaining. Like I find Tinder hilarious.
If
like
you literally go on there like not expecting anything and to just see what happens and like play it cool, like you're fine. But please don't go on there expecting like a relationship.
Agreed.
And although yes, some people out there have met their significant other through that, it is like 1 in a million.
I'm not gonna lie, that annoys the crap out of me when like people's first like thing, like, oh yeah, like, well, I'm kind of on Tinder, like, my brother's sister's mother met some man, married him. Oh, you're gonna find someone to marry, and I'm just sitting like, don't put that in my head, Becky.
Right? Don't give me that false
Don't
hope.
give me this false hope because I know it to be untrue at this point. Thank you.
I have better chances of getting bit by a shark than like my marriage coming out of Tinder. Like I actually, again, I went to a wedding last year with a close friend of mine who they met on Tinder, but it's the once in a lifetime. Like there's no way that will ever happen again.
My one friend literally got the jackpot. She met this guy on Tinder. They ended up like really hitting it off. They got together. She moved into his house. He owned a home. He then remodeled his entire house for her. Like himself remodeled the entire house. He made her this gorgeous bathroom with a freestanding tub and like literally everything about this house was her saying like, oh, I like this, and him building it. Like
I don't understand how that is someone's actual reality.
Literally every day I think to myself, why couldn't I have found him on Tinder instead of Melody? No, but I'm very happy for Melody.
Right.
Let the record show, super happy for her. But yeah, she definitely hit the jackpot. Not a common occurrence. Usually you get men asking you, I had a really funny one. I thought it was funny, super inappropriate, but funny. Actually, I don't know. Can I say it on here if it's like wildly inappropriate? Who's listening to it?
Of
like
course.
grandmas or anything?
That makes
like
even better. Say inappropriate things, swear, I don't give a shit.
So this guy messaged me, and his message was, I'm going to write Yelp a negative review for not listing you as the best place in town to eat out at. I was like, oh sir!
I've never heard that one. That's a good pickup line.
I get the vending machine one a lot. Like, literally, I don't know if they all have the same playbook. Yes.
What the hell?
Yes, listen. It's literally the same pickup lines. I've gotten it from like 5 different guys. So if guys are listening, please do not use this pickup line. It is dried out, okay? Do not say C12 or A5 or this and then wait for me to respond and say, well, I thought you were a vending machine and I wanted a snack. Please.
Oh, that's literally what those like codes mean. Like, oh, A5. I thought you were like describing an Excel spreadsheet.
That like every time I was confused the first 2 times, and then after that I was just like.
Do you know what I literally would have asked when you said that? My brain went to Battleship or fucking Excel spreadsheet.
I told the first man. Oh God, what did I say? I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Is this like slang? And I Urban Dictionary'd it. Like I literally was like, what the fuck?
And you found through Urban Dictionary?
No, I didn't. I had to wait. I responded, and then
you waited for
finished the pickup line. And I was like,
oh my God! And the fact that you got it again after, at least you knew what they were talking about. But like, what the hell?
Yeah, it's like, and that's kind of like disappointing. Like, please put in some effort, dude. Like, let's not be so generic that we're all using the same pickup lines.
What happens if I used a pickup line to a guy? Do you think they would like it, or do you think they'd be annoyed like girls are?
No, I think that they'd find it hilarious. And because actually, I will speak to that. I think that men don't get treated as well in that regard. Like, women expect flowers and like to be treated and all that stuff, but like, do we do the treating backs? A lot of times, no. Like, I feel like men also like to hear like that they're attractive, have a nice smile, are funny. Like, they want to hear that stuff too. So I actually feel like they'd be like impressed and shocked if you gave them a good pickup line.
No, that's true.
So maybe you should use that one. C12 over here. Thanks for the pickup line.
No, so I want to get into that with the whole, like, initiation thing, because as someone who's single, like, I mean, I've had my own personal issues I've dealt with, like, confidence, and, like, I never felt comfortable to do that, but, like, that has to change because I feel it internally, and I'm just not going to sit around waiting for someone to talk to me anymore because there's literally no one. Like, those videos I send you, and it's like, oh, there's so many fish in the sea, and all the fucking fish are dead. Like,
it is evaporated. The sea has evaporated.
That's me. There's no one.
There's no sea.
One. There's no one in my DMs. Like, no. So I really feel that the universe is telling me, like, it's doing this on purpose because it's saying, hey, you can't keep doing things the way that you've been. Like, you need to be a confident boss-ass bitch and just initiate, like, go up to men and not give a fuck.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely pretty good at that. Like, I will walk up to anyone and talk to them, but then I almost feel like, I don't know if maybe I'm too pushy or too forward. Like, I have been told a lot of times, like, that I'm intimidating, like, by being that way, like, by being just direct. So, like, I feel like I could go either way. Like, I think it depends on the man, really. Like, some men would prefer to kind of be the one that takes the reins and is making, like, the first move. And so then a woman being direct with them might be a turnoff for them. But then if you have, like, a guy that's more shy and, like, a little bit more nervous, and then you take that off of him, like, then you're going to get a positive response. So I think you just kind of got to feel out the vibe of the guy.
Yeah, that's true. And they say, oh, start with eye contact, smile. But it's all so overwhelming to me. And again, this goes back to I'm going to blame it on my moon in Virgo, because Virgo is the most dry, black and white analytical sign. It's literally a joke that there's serial killers. So the fact that my emotional state is that, it's like the worst sign for emotions. It is the most, like, emotionally removed fucking sign in the whole zodiac. And I envy people who are more in touch with their emotions, or they don't overthink in that way, and they can either just do things or, like, be a normal fucking person. And me, I'm like, okay, this has to be a step-by-step process. First, I have to make eye contact. Then I have to smile.
No,
then
because
I have to find the right line to say to them.
Can
like,
I tell
it's
you?
So ridiculous.
Because when we went out on St. Patrick's Day, like, that, like, you can tell that you're doing that sometimes. Like, not like a stranger wouldn't have noticed, but, like, I could tell, like, when you were ready to gear up to go talk to someone, because, like, you would sit there for a second and, like, kind of go over it in your head.
Yeah, see, I'm glad that you can confirm that, because that's helpful for me, because, like, you were literally saying you fucking overthink too much. Like, just knock it off. Wait, speaking of St. Patrick's Day, because I wanted to bring this up. So, again, I'm just going to roast myself on this, because it makes for great entertainment, right? So my dating life is just non-existent. Like, I'm not being dramatic. Like, I live in a studio with my cat. I'm not ashamed of it. It is what it is. It's been good for my growth and getting shit done. But like I said, there's not one.
We got needs.
There's not one person I could, like, call up. There's not one person in my DMs. I'm not on dating apps. I just don't socialize or date with men at all. And so on St. Patrick's Day, I was like, maybe that'll change. We'll see what happens. Because, like, once I get liquid courage, like, I can talk to people more easily. And so I tried approaching two guys, and they were both in relationships. Even the old guy that I was like,
the craziest part that she was trying to get her sugar daddy and still couldn't, like.
Still, he was, like, taken by, like, a 35-year-old, and I just had it. Like, I had a meltdown that night, and I apologize, because you really talked me through that, but it sent me over the fucking edge. Like, it's like, I don't understand what, like, I try everything. Like, I just don't get it. But going back to, okay, so we're standing in line to get in the bar, right? And there's two guys, and, like, the one I, like, started talking to, he was pretty cute, right? Well, of course he has a fucking girlfriend. Surprise, surprise. So the guy next to him is kind of, like, more goony and, like, not someone I typically go for.
Right.
So I turned around, and this guy decides he's going to pat me on my head.
Oh,
like
God,
a fucking dog.
He literally did it for, like, guys completely unprovoked. Like, she literally turned to face the door, and this man just, I watched it happen.
A pat, pat, pat.
Yes, I watched it happen, and I was still shocked. Like, I watched it happen, and I was still like, did this man just pet my friend? Like,
but, like,
why
did that happen? Like, I'm short, but, like, dude, what the fuck? I literally turned around and was like, You're lucky that I'm a nice person because that could have elicited a very different response. You don't pet a girl on the motherfucking head and think that that's gonna like
not
be
even
attractive.
just a girl, like literally a stranger that you have never met before and had like half of a conversation with. It just like, I wonder how. I feel like he just like zoned out and just decided to do it. Like I feel like he couldn't have thought it out.
Why
for
did
sure.
that make me feel good? You're treating me like a cute little pet.
Well, I will say, I feel like actually feel like that's an added layer to dating for me because I'm not short. For the record, people, I am 5'7.5". So like average, but like it feels like really tall because I genuinely believe that men are shrinking. Okay, you can quote me on it. I think men are shrinking and balding, but that's neither here nor there. But so I feel like I have that added struggle because I would really like to be with someone my height or taller because I like fashion and I like getting dressed up. I like wearing my heels and I just like am into all that stuff. And I think more so like, not so much that I wouldn't be attracted to a short guy, but like I feel like it would become a problem if they are not confident in their height. And I feel like with shorter guys, sometimes that's harder. Like because of society, they feel some type of way about their height.
Yeah.
And like, even though I personally don't care about the height itself, I will care about like the insecurities and like if you're gonna try to dictate how I'm dressing and looking to make you feel better. And like, I feel like that has come up like before when dating. Like I had this one guy that literally like came and he like was standing, he like stood, I was sitting and he stood next to the table and like I got up to hug him. He was like, oh, you're like taller than I expected. And I was like, oh yeah, like blah blah blah.
Well, you're shorter than I expected.
I was nice about it, guys. I just started up a conversation and just like kind of bypassed it. But then we like never saw each other again. He never like texted me after, never anything. And I felt like it was like fine other than that one thing. So like I really felt like that was something to him that like made him feel insecure. So like I try to look for like taller men. They're all taken by you short queens. Like you guys don't need no 6 foot man.
I get that all the time. Like people are like, you're so short. Like you need like a short man. I'm like,
please.
But I'm not one of those girls that's like, oh, he has to be over 6 foot because I think that's kind of like, that's not like super nice. Like I don't like that there's a stigma against men that are under 6 foot. Just like there's stigmas about girls. So hey, most guys are taller than me anyways. I have an advantage. But I do hear from women that are taller that it's just natural to prefer someone taller than you. That's an evolutionary thing.
I feel like for me, like I just want to like, I want to do like the short girl things almost. Like I want to be able to hug my man and be able to like, you know, feel it, you know, like be like in his chest, you know, chilling. Like,
and just that's like
I want to be wrapped up in it, you know.
Like a small girl, like they want to feel. So it's hard. It really is hard. Like I feel for tall girls and short guys because they truly are at more of a disadvantage sometimes. And if you're insecure about it, then that can affect your dating life.
Yeah.
And listen, I have an insecurity that I'm working through that I just like have wanted to face after many years, and only 3 people know about it. You are one of them, and I started talking to my therapist, and it's truly affected my self-esteem, my confidence, my ability to be able to approach people, and just straight up like things that I've accepted and dealt with because of my low self-esteem. It's just like, no, like that has to be over with, and it's because of this one thing. Truly, like, you know, well, 2 things actually. I'm not going to get into it because it's very personal, but I'm just saying across the board, like we all have insecurities, and it can make certain aspects of dating more difficult because it's not things you can change. Like you can't change your height, and that sucks.
Right, but I feel like almost like me getting past a lot of my insecurities makes me more attractive because like for example, that guy, if he hadn't made that comment and if it didn't bother him so much, I enjoyed myself. Like I would have seen him again, but like he ruined it with his insecurities. Like he let it get in his way. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like people that behave that way, that's unattractive of a quality. So it's like, and people almost have to. Like,
people sense insecurity,
yes,
and that's probably why I maybe haven't had the best luck. And again, I'm trying to like change the narrative in my head and like flip things around because if you think about it, like, so they have short man syndrome, right?
yes.
And so, but that exists because, but in a way, it's like kind of good because as a short man, like, you do have to feel confident in yourself and not take shit because some people do. They're just assholes and like, oh, like, you're short, you're small, like, you're an easy target to me, like, I'm gonna pick on you. And so they do, in some ways, have to protect themselves and overcompensate. And, but I will say, like a lot of short men, if they're confident without being like too egotistical, it is attractive.
It is,
like you
yeah,
forget
for
about
sure.
the height.
Exactly. And I feel like, see, like, my problem is I'm very good at, like, projecting confidence, but a lot of times I can't sustain it. So, like, that's why, like, I date very in, like, short spurts. Like, I have men that, like, I see, like, sexually every now and again. Like, so I have, like, those relationships that are like not official, like here and there, but I can't sustain them because I require too much like reassurance because I'm not actually that confident. And I think that then turns the man off because initially they're like this confident chick, like I want her, I'm gonna beeline to her. But then when they actually start to figure out, like, I'm not actually that confident, I'm just kind of faking it till I make it. And like, hopefully at some point I will make it, like, completely. But I definitely have made more strides in that area. But I think that's why for so long I was single because I wasn't able to sustain the confidence. I didn't actually have it. I was just pretending almost to make myself feel better. Like, genuinely the saying, fake it till I make it, comes through my mind all the time. Like, that's how I use the drive to keep going. Like,
yeah, no, that's interesting because we kind of have the same problem, but it happens in different ways where like you are someone who's more of like an extrovert and outgoing and you will approach somebody and like know how to get that initial like attention, where with me, like, I'm so paralyzed and passive, I sit back and always wait for someone to come to me. And so it's like I'm not even allowing myself to almost decide, like, I want to go after this person, I like them, like, and I just know that it has to change. Like, there's no reason that we can't be confident. Like, but that's the thing, you can't buy it, you can't teach it. It can literally only come from within you. And I'm like, at what point is something going to click in my brain to like make me be this confident person or exude it or feel it? Like, why is it so hard?
I think because like really, I don't think people realize how much relationships can damage you, even if they didn't end, like, not relationships, just relationships, like friendships as well. Like, how damaging it can be when those relationships are like toxic and are not good. So like, for example, I have a friend that like I was super close with and she hurt me like deeply in a way, and it chipped away at my confidence because I trusted her, I cared for her, and she, betrayed that trust. So like, I think almost like for me, having a bunch of people treat me poorly kind of made me question myself. So I actually did genuinely used to have genuine confidence. Like, it hasn't always been this way. It was pretty much adulthood. Like, when I was in high school, middle school, like, I was the most confident kid. No one could tell me nothing. But like, as an adult, it's like the world teaches you like bad things about yourself. Like, the world focuses on the bad, so you have to focus on the good. And that's like a hard concept when a bunch of people are kind of making you feel the opposite, So
no, that's very true. Like, yes, past relationships can contribute to even more of like not like wanting to be single or like feeling like it's hard to find someone again, for sure. Like, I'm dealing with that right now. And so I've briefly mentioned it because it's just not something that, it's just a very deep, heavy topic. And so I'm not like ashamed of it, but it's not something I prefer to dive into. But like 2 years ago, the person I was in a relationship with for 5 years died. Like, that person was my best friend. Like, how do you just move on from that after 5 years of like thinking that you're going to marry this person?
You can't just move on. I think you just find ways to cope. I don't think you ever like truly move on from stuff. But like, I mean, anything can damage your self-esteem. It doesn't necessarily have to be like they did something wrong. Like, it can be like something happened that like made you feel, you know, insecure about it.
But I just want to tell you, like, and it's easier said than done, but fuck those people. Do not allow them to let you think that you can't be confident or damage your self-esteem, because it's not worth it. And that's what I'm realizing now, is those motherfuckers aren't worth it. And I have like a list of people. This is my Scorpio rising, by the way.
Oh gosh.
I literally have like a list of people. If I could go back and just like tell off or punch in the face, I would. And they deserve it.
Ross Geller over here, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Oh no,
right.
I think it was Phoebe that had the list. And she was like, who's on it? And it was only Ross. Like,
oh my God, that's so funny. No,
any Friends fans, that's for you.
Have about, it's less than 10, but more than 5, like somewhere in between that. And it shouldn't matter. I shouldn't hold grudges. It's negative energy. But again, it's like, I've had those people that have just said and done things to me that it's like, why? You know what I mean? Like,
I don't like have like grudges per se against any of these people. I just have no desire to like be around them. Like, if you broke my trust, I feel like that's a Libra thing. I've heard that's a Libra thing. Like, we will forgive and forgive and forgive, but once we hit that point, it's freaking done.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you cannot convince me to come back in my life, because I give so many chances at the front end that, like, it's just unacceptable. Like, if I've given you 5 chances at the beginning, like, and you still betrayed me, like, then you don't get to come back. Like, it takes so long for me to let go of people that once I do, like, it's done. So, like, I don't hold grudges against them, any of my friends that I have, like, flown out of my life, tragically, but I just don't want to put that back into my life because it was damaging. So, I don't know.
You shouldn't have to. Like, you know what I mean? It's not, and that's, like, some of the clarity you get with being single is once you've been able to move on from toxic friends or relationships and know, like, I deserve better, like, this is what I don't want going forward, like, that's what I'm learning now. So again, like, it's not to say that everything about being single is bad. We're going to talk about, like, the pros and cons. We've kind of been, like, flipping all over the place.
Right.
But that is one of the good things about being single, is it allows you that time to really process and, like, get clarity about what you want in your relationships going forward.
Right. That's why I'm really excited for Chloe. So we share a cousin. We're not cousins, but we share a cousin.
That's how we met.
That's how we met. So our youngest, one of the younger cousins, she's just turning 21, and she's going to come visit us in Chicago. But she was in a relationship, and she moved in with a guy. And lo and behold, guess what? She wasn't ready for it because she didn't really think it through. And now she's ready to, like, find herself. So, like, that's super exciting.
I'm happy for her. He seemed like a dud. No offense to him, but she's literally a baby. She's not even 21. It's like, it's just no.
Yes.
No.
I think that's a South thing, though, too. Like, it's even worse in the South. Like, in the North, I feel like people are a little bit more accepting of the single life. Like, in the South, you just, like, don't see it at all. Like, they just have more of, like, the traditional
I would
mindset down there. Yeah.
And they're in, like, a small town kind of too, so it's just completely different. Like,
small town in the middle of nowhere.
Literally, the weddings is in the middle of nowhere, and I was like, "Where's the Uber?" Like, I'm confused. What's happening?
I was like, where are the bars? Because you didn't invite any single men, and you didn't give me a +1. So, like, where are the bars?
Chloe's such a naive little baby. I'm so excited for her to, like, visit Chicago, and I'm going to corrupt her on her 21st. But it was so funny because she had asked, I don't remember who it was. Did you tell me this? Somebody told me she asked, like, how are we going to get home? Like, girl, you're in Chicago. What do you mean? There's, like, so many forms of transportation. This is Tyler, Texas, where you're in the middle of nowhere and you have to drive yourself.
Yes. Well, no, because she's so used to it. Literally, okay, I was genuinely scared one of the nights. I think it was the night of the actual wedding itself. So, for whatever reason, the night of the wedding itself, we went back to the newlyweds' house because our mutual cousin is pregnant, so it was, like, a very, like, low-key wedding. Like, there was not, like, getting belligerently drunk and dancing and partying. Like, there was some of it because it's a wedding, but, like, definitely tame. One of the more tame weddings I've been to. So like we ended up back at their house, and then we just drove to like one of their friends' houses, and literally, guys, I'm telling you, it was pitch black. It was like literally concerning. I felt like I was in the movie Get Out, but you know,
no, and like the Courage the Cowardly Dog with like just the one house in the middle of nowhere.
No, literally, that's exactly. And then there's like cats just walking around outside, and just like, okay,
like we are not used to this. We are city gals, but it was definitely interesting. Speaking of that night, because I'm glad you brought it up, because it makes for laughable moments. So Alexis and I, thank God, laugh and cry at the same time, but it's so funny because thank God I had you as like a single like gal there or whatever. So it comes time for, because like weddings, like people for whatever reason think that it's a good place to be single, like you're gonna meet someone. Let me tell you,
but it never
there are no single fucking people at any of the weddings I've been to, like none.
Yes, I agree.
No eligible bachelors. So.
I agree. Like, I just once want to dance with a guy at a wedding. Like, literally, it's on my bucket list because that's how far-fetched I feel like it's going to be.
But when I was on dating apps, like, people would, that's always something they'd put, like, oh, I make a great +1 at a wedding. Do you like to dance at weddings? And it's like, well, what the fuck? Why aren't I meeting, like, single guys at weddings?
Right.
Okay, so how about when, this was the funniest moment. So it comes time to do, like, the garter toss or whatever, so they have call all the single guys onto the dance floor, and literally the pool of men, of single men that came out.
I just want to preface that, like, my brother caught the garter. My younger brother, my youngest brother caught the garter, and I caught the bouquet. So it was literally just like, they were like, you're supposed to do a dance together. I was like, well, that's not going to fucking happen. Like,
I know.
We literally did, like, the cha-cha fucking slide or something because I couldn't dance with him because, well, I mean, I could have, but
I literally pulled you and was like, Alexis, this is our options of eligible bachelors, and you're like, I'm related to pretty much every single one of them. I
genuinely was. We have like a pretty big-sized family, and I think, like, the only people that I wasn't, like, directly related to was, like, is Alex your brother or your cousin? Your cousin, and then that one friend of theirs that ended up being at the house. I even forgot his name. He was nice, but I forgot his name.
Oh my god, yeah, no, and everyone was so young, too.
It was a young wedding.
Wait, speaking of that, so...
Oh gosh, yes, please tell the story.
I actually do have a little bit. I did meet somewhat of an eligible bachelor at the wedding, but it wasn't like what I would picture in my head. So
weird vibes, man.